Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Reddit News Daily. Today we'll be talking about malicious compliance, in which you better be careful what you ask for. Our first story is brought to you by Samfish90212. Not sure if this is malicious compliant enough, but here is my telemarketer story. For years after high school, I got calls from the extended warranty marketers, first on my Hyundai Accent until I scrapped it, then on my dad's Honda Insight, later on my Volvo S70 and my Hyundai Elantra. So one day, I finally decided to comply. Hello, sir. This is about your offer to extend the warranty on your car. Yes, sir. Please proceed. What is the make and model of your vehicle? It's a Hyundai Elantra. What year is it? 2004. How many miles is on this vehicle? About 255,000 or so. Then the marketer hangs up. Click. Now, it's been 5 years since they called me and haven't heard from them since. I'm not sure why he hung up. P, if this really works, I think I'll try it as well. Because I get calls like this 3 to 4 times a week asking about extending the warranty on my car, which is technically a truck. It's a F-150, and it's got about 300,000 miles on it. So maybe they'll extend my warranty or they'll call and hang up. Our next post is by Chrissy Elizabeth. Start when I tell you. I used to work for a place that set up a stall outside of a tourist area. Every morning me and one coworker would arrive by bus at 8:30 and begin setting up. The boss arrived a little before 9 with stuff to stock the stall. Now we still had leftover stuff from the day before that my coworker and I would have set out and usually sold a good chunk of already, so it like we weren't twiddling our thumbs for half an hour and just setting up the stall took a few minutes as well. The boss decided one day that he was sick of paying us to start at 8:30 when he thought we weren't doing any work, so he said we were not to log any time before 9. The bus was an infrequent one that ran only once an hour, so to be on time, we still had to get there at 8:30. There was a little cafe nearby, and so my coworker and I would go there, grab breakfast, and sit in front of where the stall usually went. The boss arrived closer to 8:45 the next day to see no stall set up and us just sitting there eating. He was visibly upset that we hadn't started working for free and asked why we weren't set up. He must have been really dumb because we weren't paid to start until 9. Wasn't something he had thought of. While he did all the work we would have done, he grumbled. By 9 he wasn't even done. He hadn't even unloaded the day's stuff from his truck. Most likely from all the time he wasted glaring at us because it really didn't take that long. Now I love this job. My dad was actually the head boss and would have paid us both the half-hour difference. We just wanted to make this guy a little bit more difficult. Oh, the joys of malicious compliance, even if it is, for a half hour. But at least you're getting breakfast and having some fun before work. Our next story is I'll Let You In, Fam, posted by Converse1991. Due to a made-up reason, my store has now only allowed 40 customers in at a time. But there are times when all the lines are very long, and we were told that when that happens to not let anyone in until the lines go down. Today was one of those days. And the cast for the story is AC, Angry Customer, me, OP. The line outside the door was getting quite long just because we were waiting for the lines at the registers to go down. Angry Customer was the next person in line, and I could tell he was getting frustrated. How come you're letting us in? 5 people just left and you're not letting anyone in. Sorry, we're just trying to let the lines go down a little. But the sign here says when people leave, you let another enter. I understand, but right now the lines at the register are very long, so we want to let them go down. The lines are too long? That's your excuse? Yes. That's bull crap. They can't be that long. And shrugs. When are you gonna let us in? Me, officially over. You know what? You can come in. The angry customer gets a smug smile and walked inside. He made it about 20 feet, and then he looked at the lines, which had about 6 to 8 people in each. Then he turned around and walked back outside, avoiding eye contact with me, and left. You know, it just amazes me on how people, are supposed to follow the rules, wear a mask when you're going in a store because maybe store policy, and you can only have so many people in the store at a time, yet they just don't want to follow the rules because they think they're invulnerable to getting the cold that's going around that's doing a lot of damage. And it just surprises me how many of these people just get angry, mad because, well, we can't go in the store, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's probably the store rules. Or, you know what? Just let them go in, and when they catch it, just say, told so. The next story is posted by Vivian. I'm the healer, you're a DPS, stop doing my job. Okay. Now, this will begin with a bit of terminology. I play Final Fantasy XIV, which is a multiplayer video game. In Final Fantasy XIV, there are 3 types of classes. Tank, who leads the way and makes sure enemies don't attack anyone else. Healer, who heals damage and resurrects dead players. And DPS, who deals the majority of the damage. Dungeons are ran with a tank, a healer, and 2 DPSs, usually randomly assembled people who queue up for the dungeon. The class I play is Red Mage, who, importantly to the story, is unique among DPS classes in the sense I can do a pretty decent healing output and very easily resurrect others, some even healers can't do. Without going into details, healers can only resurrect instantly once a minute, Red Mages can do it every 5 seconds. Dungeons have 3 bosses, each harder than the last. So this happened yesterday when I got into a dungeon. Quitana Ravel for the knowledgeable, with a scholar as a healer. Note, Quitana is a pretty high level dungeon, definitely not for beginners. Red flags went off immediately because for some reason Quitana tends to attract questionable scholars in my experience. Note that the scholar wasn't new to this dungeon. We go through the first boss with relative ease, but the second boss, the scholar is struggling to heal the incoming damage and then dies when a pillar falls on them. I casually resurrect them and heal the tank while they're resurrecting. They got mad but didn't tell. Then later on the tank gets bold and collects more enemies than they can chew, and the healer is doing kind of subpar healing, so I pitch in with my healing. The third and final boss comes, and those who already ran it know that the final boss, Katana, is especially tough because of the sheer amount of unavoidable and much more avoidable damage. We start, and I can already see the scholar isn't using their abilities effectively to mitigate and heal damage with the exact spell needed for the situation. They also aren't running away when the enemy ability requires them to run away. I tell them that's what the ability requires, and they don't answer, nor run away when the boss uses the ability on them again. This goes on for a bit, then the tank dies. I casually resurrect them and then heal them up. The healer dies shortly after. I resurrect them too. We eventually wipe when I die, and the healer starts casting a long resurrection spell. They use their once in a minute resurrection instantly ability on the tank, on me, gets interrupted by damage, and dies to an avoidable boss ability. The tank and the other DPS die. We have to go back to the boss and start from the beginning since everyone died. This is called a wipe. And while legging it there, Scholar goes off of me, paraphrase. I wasted Swiftcast on the tank. Stop doing my job. I'm the healer. You're a DPS. Stop doing my job. I literally saved us a good couple of times, but sure, buddy. I reply with, okay. Boss time. Right off the bat, we get severely damaged by an unavoidable damage, and the healer isn't using their correct abilities. I just mind my business in DPS. The healer dies, ironically, because they still weren't running away from the one boss ability. Tank eyes me expectantly. I cast another Thunder Third, a DPS spell. Tank is trying their best to keep themselves alive, but tanks are not healers, nor red mages, and eventually they go down. The boss targets the other DPS next and hits them heavy. If only I had a healing spell. They go down, and since I'm refusing to heal even myself, I die. That's a wipe, folks. As we are going back to the boss, Tanks asks me why I didn't resurrect the healer or them. I reply, the scholar asked me to do my job in DPS. Tank responds with an opening a vote to kick the scholar from the group. The vote passes with flying colors. A couple minutes later, we got another healer, a white mage this time, and we finished the final boss without any further issues. Yeah, this story reminds me of several stories on Final Fantasy XI Online. I had leveled Red Mage to 75, did the mat fight, all that. Of course, it only took me once when it took others like 16. So I started leveling Bard and then eventually Ninja. And I finally decided to go ahead and level Samurai because I had the ability to change servers after me and my wife had gotten divorced. So I took along all my gear and everything and moved to another server, leveled Samurai, got it to 75, and got into a really nice group and ended up with some very nice gear to the point where I could effectively pull off multiple skill chains back to back, and as dealing more damage, there was this one monster. It was a bird and it was a VNM. There was another samurai there who was using his samurai sword. I switched over to a pole because it did more damage. So when I did all my moves, I did a skill chain, and I dealt over 3,000 DPS to this bird, and the other samurai couldn't get higher than 900. So, anyways, it was kind of fun to show somebody actually how to play samurai, since a lot of people said he was a very terrible samurai. Anyways, that was my experience. This has been Reddit News Daily. Malicious Compliance. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it was a little short today, but I will be back tomorrow with more. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up. That's how YouTube finds my videos. Thank you.